everyone. By this time, you have already understood how to create your Django projects. Now it's time to make it live. So you have already created the Julix app and you must have created many other such projects. So how do you make it available to the users? Now the projects that you have created is just on your PC or on your laptop. You want to make it available to other users as well. So this is where the deployment part comes in. So let's first understand what do you mean by deployment. So deployment is a simple process of moving your project files from your PC or laptop to the servers on the cloud, which is the internet, so that every or many other users can use your project. Now for the deployment part, you have various other platforms. Now for this chapter, we are understanding how we can use Python Anywhere to deploy your Django projects. So Python Anywhere is a popular platform for deploying your Django projects. So we are using Python Anywhere since it is a free platform with some limited editions. And it is also a beginner friendly. So let's see how we can deploy your Django project. So first we need to create an account on your Python Anywhere. So the process is very simple, like how you sign up for any social media platform. So you first go to www.pythonanywhere.com. You provide the details such as the username, email, password. You will get a confirmation message and we have to select the plan. So we are using the free plan and then your registration is complete. So you've already signed up for your Django Python Anywhere platform. Then you go to the dashboard, you click on web app and then you provide the manual configuration details and move further. Now you have to upload your project. So whatever the files that you have, your settings file, static file, media files, you need to upload those files. So in the dashboard, you will see a option for uploading your project. You click on upload project and then you select all the files. So files such as settings.py, urls.py, the static files. Alternatively, you can use a SFTP client, which is secure file transfer protocol, which is not needed, but you can simply move with the upload option. Now the next step is that how can Python Anywhere understand how to run your Django projects? So for that, you need to point to the WSGI file in your Django project. Then you can also update the source directory, providing the path for your source directory of your Django project and modify the sys.path, which is the system path to your Django project. So this step is necessary to understand how Python Anywhere can run and find your project files. So the next part comes in uploading the database. So if you have SQLite 3, you can upload that. But if you are using MySQL, you need to create the database there itself. So after that, you need to finalize the static and the media file configurations. So for that, you have to set up the path. Let's say this is the file directory of the static files, your JavaScript, CSS files. So it is home slash username slash my projects slash static. So you are just providing the path so that the Python Anywhere can point to that URL. Similarly, for media files, again, you need to provide the path saying that the URL is in the appropriate directory. So now for deploying the Django project, you need to first set up the environment. So for that, you need to just make some few modifications in settings.py. So after that, you have finalized all of the things, like you have uploaded your project, you have configured the static and media files. Now it's time to finally make those final commands for the last step, which is the deployment. Now for that, you have some commands. So for to run migrations for the database, you have commands such as python manage.py space migrate. Now to collect static files, you have the command python manage.py space collect static. Then after that, you have run those commands and several other commands. Then you have to finally reload your web application. So you just simply go to the dashboard and click on deployment, go to that URL and then your project is being deployed. So after the deployment part comes the testing and troubleshooting. So you have to test whether the project or the Julix app is working properly. You can perform those operations, create, update, delete operations and check whether it is being correctly deployed. Now if there are some errors, let's say how do you troubleshoot them? So if you get this 500 internal server, you can go to the error logs inside the dashboard and if the static files that are not loading correctly, you can double check your configuration steps and simultaneously you can solve those errors. So with that, you have successfully deployed your Django application. So now just let's recall the overall steps in the deployment part on Python Anywhere. So first you create an account, like you simply provide the email, password, username. Then you create the new web app on site the dashboard. Then you configure the web app, set up the environment variables, upload your project, configure the static and media files, and then you run those commands, the final commands for the migration. Before that, you also have to remember uploading your database or creating the database for MySQL, and simply click on deployment process. And if there are any errors, you can troubleshoot by double checking the all these steps. So that is all for now. Let's jump into the practical part to see it live. Okay, now let's just dive into the practical session of the deployment process on www.pythonanywhere.com. So what do? You open your Google and you go to www.pythonanywhere.com. So if you see, if you already have an account, you can just simply type your username and your password and click on login. So in case you do not have a login option and you are just creating a new account, you can click on sign up here. So if you click on sign up here, you will see plans and pricing. You go to create a beginner account. After clicking on this, you provide your username, you give your email, password, again retype the password, click on I agree, and then click on register. After clicking on registering, you will get a confirmation mail, and then you can simply log in the next time you are visiting Python Anywhere. Now we have already have created an account, so we'll just click on login, and we have set our username and our password, and then click on login. So after clicking on login, you see this dashboard. So you see there are various menus such as consoles. So we'll see each of them in detail, and let's just open this. So here is the dashboard where you can see the console, the file, the notebooks, the web apps. So if you go to console, you see you have the Python version, you have other things like Bash, MySQL. So basically this is for starting a new console. Then inside the file section, you see the various options for uploading your directories or your files. So you just simply click on upload and you can upload the files that you have, your Django project files. Now inside the web section, you see there is an option to create a new web app. So we'll see it in the next few steps. And then lastly, there is another section for the database. So here you see MySQL and PostgreSQL. Since we are using MySQL, we will also see how to set up the MySQL inside Python Anywhere. So to deploy our app, we'll go to the web section and then click on add a new web app. So if you click over here, you see this is your domain name, and you simply click on next, and inside this you will go to Django. You will select the version to Python 3.10. Here you will give your project name. So our project name is Julix, and you simply click on next. So it will take a few moments to create the URL. So just wait for a few minutes till it gets activated. So you see how simplified is the process of creating, or per se the process of deploying your web app inside pythonanywhere.com. So let's wait for a few minutes. So you see here you have the URL, which is detain2000.pythonanywhere.com. So we'll open this inside a new tab. So you see the install worked successfully. Congratulations. So this is the simpler version of creating your or deploying your web application. Now let's remember a few key points, which is we are using the 3.10 version of your Django project. So you will also select the 3.10 version inside pythonanywhere.com. Now let's see how we can upload our Julix file and deploy it inside our URL. So now we are uploading our Django file. So for that, you go to files and click on upload a file. Now we will locate to the directory where you have your Django project. So it's in C. Then you go to django.deploy, and this is your Django project file. First you have to create a zip. So I have already created a zip, which is julix.zip. So you simply click on the zip file and click on open. So you see your julix.zip is being uploaded, and it is uploaded. Now we will go to the console and we will check whether this file or this zip file is being correctly uploaded. So you go to bash. Now for the checking the command, we have the command. So first it will take a few moments to finally prepare the execution environment. Now you see we have the command line ready. We will type the command ls-l. So you see, you can see julix.zip file. Now we will unzip the file since we want the files to be in the correct format. So the command for the same is unzip. the name of the file, and the extension. And then we'll click on A. Now the files are being unzipped. Now if you see the files have been unzipped, now let's again check by entering the same command, which is ls-l. So you see we have the file Julix. So now we are creating the virtual environment and downloading the dependencies while you had created your Django project. So for creating the virtual environment, we have the command mkvirtualenv space myenv space hyphen hyphen python equals to and the version of Python. So Python, the version is 3.10. Then we click on enter. So we have created the virtual environment. Now it's time to activate the virtual environment. So the command is work on and the name of your environment, which is myenv. Now the activated is the virtual environment. Now we have to install the dependencies. So if you remember, we had three things. Pip install Django, since we are working on Django. Pip install. So you see Django is being downloaded. So Django is installed. Now the next package we have pip install MySQL client. So MySQL client is being downloaded. So you see successfully installed MySQL client. Now the last step is pip install pillow. So successfully installed pillow. So we've already installed the dependencies. Now we are setting up the database. So you go to database section, MySQL. Now we are setting a password. So let's say this is our password. And then click on initialize MySQL. So it's saying the password is too short. So let's use some characters. So it will take some time to initialize your MySQL database. So you see the database has been successfully created. So you see this is the database host address and this is the username. And if you scroll down, you can see the name of your database, which is Jitain 2000 $ default. And for these steps, for like creating a database, and here you can again reset your password. And after this, we are going to see all those settings inside our settings section. So if you want to make any changes, you go over here, Julix, and here we have settings.py. Now we have to make a few changes. So if you see over here, allowed host, here we have put the URL. So if you remember, our URL was jitain2000.pythonanywhere.com. So here is the same. And if you scroll down, inside the templates, here we have provided the path for a template. Now under this section, which is the templates, here we have to provide the path where the template section is there. So if you see over here, here we have the template and this is the path. /home /jitain2000/julix. So here is the path and we have provided this path. Now if you scroll down more, here you can see under the section of database, here you see the name. So if you remember the database name, it was Jitain 2000 $default. This was the username Jitain 2000. This is the password. This is the host name and here is the port, which is 3306. So here we have made the necessary changes. First we had seen allowed host where we have put the URL, and if you scroll down, inside the template section, we have provided the path for the template, and lastly, the database settings. So after doing all these changes, you simply click on save. So you see the settings have been stored. Now you go to the dashboard. So we have made the changes in settings.py. Now let's go to console and click on bash. So we are just moving some migration commands and setting up the environment. So the command for activating the environment is work on my env. Now here we are first moving on to the directory. So if you remember, the directory was, so this is our directory. Now we are inside this directory. Now to make those migrations, we have the command python manage.py make migrations. You are seeing a warning because migrations have already been done. Now again, there is another command python manage.py and migrate. So see, we have already created the virtual environment and we have made the migrations. Okay, now let's move on to the dashboard and we go to the web. So you see, this is the URL, and if you scroll down, here you can see the static files. So if you want to edit a static file, you simply click on this and provide the static path. Similarly for media path. And if you have other files, you can simply put the URL and define the path. And you can also simultaneously delete the path as well. Now we have already set the static path, which is this, and the media path, which is this. So now we are just clicking on reload and opening this in a new tab. This is the output you're seeing, which is your project. So if you see, this is the Julix project. And if you remember, before when we had visited this URL, you had seen a different output. But now, since we have uploaded our files, we have installed the dependencies, we have set up the virtual environment, you can see our project is now successfully deployed. Now, if you remember, the database which you had created inside your PC and the database over here is two different things. Why? Because the database products which you had added earlier in your PC is not being reflected here. So for that, we'll just click on manage, and whatever the things that we add over here will be created inside a new database. So let's just see if it works well. So we'll add a product. Let's say we are adding a bracelet. Let's enter a price and upload an image for that bracelet and click on submit. So let's see if it's working correctly. So as you see over here, and if we go to the home page and scroll down, you can see a bracelet is added. So let's just try to edit this and see if it works well. So let's change the product price to as 8,000. Submit. Go to home page and let's see if it's being reflected to as 8,000. So you see 8,000. So whatever the operations are there, create, read, update, delete is being working. Now if you again go to manage and click on delete, go to home page. So if you see, our successful creation and deployment of our Julix project is created and it is also working fine. So this is how you can create such Django projects and make it live to available to other users as well with the help of PythonAnywhere. So please note, the Python version that you are using inside your PC to create the Django project should also match with the version while you are selecting on pythonanywhere.com. So let's say if you have built the project at 3.10, the same version should be selected on pythonanywhere.com 3.10. So this is an important thing to note. If you do not do this, it may clash during the deployment process.
To know more about Itvedant, visit our website